Good evening, Minister Cross and Little, the punching preacher. Winding down for my evening, and I had something come in my mind or whatever. I feel like I wanted to share with you guys, and just I wanted to exhort you all to, and this is including myself, of the importance of us being hearers and doers of word and being obedient servants. I want to show you a video, and then after this video, I'm gonna dive into it. All right, so check out this video. All right, so that video that you just saw, I'm gonna basically give you the reference of what that video is representing. So that crack that you just saw that octopus go through is a crack in the foundation, and that octopus is sin. And the video is an example of it only takes a crack for you to be compromised. And I'm going to read these scriptures. We know them, but I'm going to read them for you anyway. 2 Corinthians 6:14. Be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers, for what fellowship hath righteousness with unrighteousness, and what communion hath light with darkness? We go to verse 17. It says, wherefore come out from among them, and be ye separate, said the Lord, and touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you. All right. Then we also see in 1 Corinthians 5:9-11, Paul goes a little deeper into it. I wrote unto you in an epistle not to company with fornicators, yet not altogether with the fornicators of this world, or with the covetous, or extortioners, or with with idolaters. For then must ye needs go out of the world. But now I have written unto you to not keep company, if any man that is called a brother be a fornicator, or covetous, or idolater, or a railer, or a drunkard, or an extortioner, with such a one not to eat. Okay. We all say that we love God, right? Well, according to God, in John 14:21, he that hath my commandments and keepeth them, he it is that loveth me. And then this right here, I'm going to tell you why I'm going to bring this one up. James 4:17. Therefore, to him that knoweth to do good and doeth it not, to him it is sin. So listen, I want to talk to you about the sin of omission. And sin of omission is when you intentionally fail to do something that you know that you should do. And I just gave you that in those scriptures of how God has commanded us to not fellowship with unbelievers. Evil is resilient and evil never rests. So like I said, all it takes is a crack for sin to get in. Now I'm going to give you another example. I want you to picture a load of white clothes. You wash them with bleach. All right. Then I want you to throw in the washing machine with the white clothes you just washed a batch of black clothes. What happens to the white clothes when you wash them with the black clothes? They become compromised. And now those white clothes, which represent righteousness, have become gray because they've started to get some unrighteousness on them from the dark clothes, which represent unrighteousness. So that is an example of the whites are the believers, the black is the unbelievers. The white is the righteous, the black is the unrighteous. The white is the light, the black is the darkness. Here's the thing. The black clothes can be your friends or associates, right? And they aren't following Christ. They aren't willing to change. And the more that you are in communion and fellowship with them, the more chances you will be compromised. Okay? So if you start off solo, maybe you'll curse here. If they're cursing a lot, maybe you start drinking. If they drink a lot, you start going to the club, and start being around all these things that are pulling at your flesh. And then next thing you know, you're lusting after this person or that person because you're going around doing things that tug at your flesh. When you're supposed to be holy and set apart, as God said, be holy for I'm holy. And you cannot follow Christ without compromising by being in constant fellowship with darkness, okay? So the question I have is, why is it that we find it so easy? A lot of us, we find it easy to leave covenants. Like, we break that when God says hate divorce, but then we're stubborn when it comes to fellowshipping with unbelievers, fellowshipping with fornicators and all of that. Like, it's just, we're stubborn. We don't want to let those friendships and relationships go. Why is that? And this command is so important, but it's the most compromised command I see. And that is why we see a T.D. Jakes now in trouble because of his fellowship with Diddy. Whereas had he adhered to this principle, not fellowship with unbelievers, not being in the company of fornicators, his name doesn't come up. He stays above reproach. We know that the scripture says bad company corrupts good character. It is important that you don't be in fellowship with those who don't walk the same walk, because then you have the risk of being seen as what they are. Okay, so it's hard for T.D. Jakes to have an argument that he doesn't do the things that Diddy does if you're in the company of him, in fellowship with him, and the fellowship isn't righteous fellowship, Bible study, ministry, prayer, those type of things. They say birds of a feather flock together. Same thing with Kirk Franklin. All these gospel artists that are in fellowship with the secular artists, we're compromising. And so it seems as if you're okay with their lifestyle because you're in fellowship with their lifestyle. So then I can't necessarily trust that you're not also compromised in doing the things that they're doing. For me, I would go places by myself if I have to. If it means me not being in the company of fornicators, idolaters, extortioners, all of that. I'm talking about people that are willfully sinning, not people that stumble. Somebody that is willfully fornicating. I can be friends or I can befriend you, but I can't be in company and fellowship with you. Just because I choose obedience. I would much rather offend you in being obedient to God than to offend God trying to appease to you and make you feel good. Like, your feelings just got to be hurt, because I'm not going to hurt God's feeling. My blessings and favor come from above, not from you. And I wouldn't dare let a friendship that is unequally yoked jeopardize me receiving what God has for me, because he does not bless disobedience. He does not bless sin. And scripture just showed us that to know the right thing to do, which the right thing here to do is to not fellowship with unbelievers, and to not do it is sin. God is not going to bless me for being disobedient and rebelling against his truth. So really, when will we stop serving God? Diversions of his commands. He placed his order and he wants us to serve it to him the way that he placed it. Okay, there's got to be at some point where we draw the line and say, okay, I'm not going to compromise anymore. I'm going to choose to be obedient and do it his way. I'm not going to try to do it my way. And that means not fellowshipping with fornicators. Again, you can't keep your righteousness clean in fellowship with darkness, with unbelievers, because eventually you may say no 5, 10, 15 times to the things that they're doing, and then that 21st time you start to take a drink, or that 21st time you actually go to this place with them, and next thing you know, you wake up the next morning and your underwear on the floor, and you enter somebody's house that you don't even know their name. God gave us this command to protect us, okay? To keep us undefiled, okay? And above reproach. Why do we struggle with being obedient when it comes to this one? Again, I would rather be obedient and by myself in the world with no friends, if it means I'm obeying the command of not being in the company, eating with fornicators, idolaters, extortioners, all of those people who are unbelievers, darkness, they don't even serve the same God I serve. If I have to be by myself everywhere I go, movies, the gym, a restaurant, but I'm being obedient, I would rather do that, because God takes delight in obedience. Not for me to have all these friends around me who are unbelievers, who are fornicators, who are not serving God, and then I got to answer to God and give him an answer to why I am sinning, because I'm sinning by knowing the right thing to do and not doing it. And God didn't ask, He didn't say it was optional. It's commanded. Come from amongst them. Are you ready to come from amongst them? The Punch and Preacher, I love y'all. Y'all be good.